Take you back to the afternoon's breaking news story. The High Court in Pretoria declaring a controversial coal contract unlawful. That deal, you might remember, was signed in 2015 between the formerly Gupta-owned Tegeta and Eskom. It allowed Tegeta to supply coal to Eskom's Majuba power station for a 10-year period and was worth a whopping 3.7 billion rand. The Special Investigating Unit has now secured a court order setting aside that contract and granting the SIU permission to proceed with further legal steps. Let's get more on this now. I'm joined on the line by a spokesperson for the Special Investigating Unit, Kaizer Kganyago. Mr. Kganyago, a very good evening to you. Thank you for your time. So your office quite pleased this afternoon at this news.
Hello?
Can you hear me, Mr. Kganyago?
Yes, I can hear you.
I was saying I would imagine the SIU is quite pleased at this court outcome this afternoon.
No, we are quite excited about the court ruling today because it really shows that the work that we've been doing in the investigation at Eskom is starting to yield some fruits, and we are really, really excited about it.
And just on that then, so the court has now granted you, as part of this outcome, the permission essentially to continue with further legal action. What are we to expect coming from you on this case going forward?
Yes, that element is very important because people need to understand that Tegeta is now under business rescue as we speak. Therefore, in terms of the process, if the company is under business rescue, you are not allowed to institute any legal proceedings against them unless you get permission from the business rescue practitioner or you get permission from the court to do so. And in this case, the court has granted us that because we are now continuing with our investigation to see whether Eskom, with the money that has already been paid so far, whether Eskom has received value for money, and we'll be able to then, if necessary, go after the money that was given to Tegeta up to now.
You talk about excitement and being able to move forward in this case with your investigation. A lot of South Africans, where cases like this are concerned, will touch on the corruption issue, and Minister Ronald Lamola speaks quite extensively about that in his statement welcoming this development. When will arrests be made of people involved in this unlawful contract?
I didn't hear the question.
When should we expect people to be arrested in connection with this contract?
No, the contract was now set aside completely. Therefore, we are going to use that as a basis to look at other contracts because there are many other contracts at Eskom that were entered into in the same way because in the main, the problem that we have here is the fact that they did not follow processes in terms of the procurement processes that are laid down. And there are many other contracts that are worth millions and millions of rands that have followed the same route. We, as the SIU, are going to make sure that we follow up all of those cases, deal with them, and make sure that they are set aside. Not only are we going to do it with Eskom, we are going to do it with all the other entities that we are working with, like the Transnet of this world, the SAA of this world, the SABC, the NELS of this world, because we are all looking at those, and we will make sure that the money that is being given to people unlawfully will be returned to the coffers of the company.
Is it your understanding as the SIU at this stage of your investigation that the entering into this contract unlawfully was done with criminal intent?
Yes, what we then do, because our emphasis is to recover, and that is what we are doing in this case. Therefore, in the process, when we find criminality, you might have seen, for example, when we were dealing with the case which amounted to 2 people being arrested in December, if you remember. It is a case that we were investigating, and we found that there was criminality, and we referred that to the NPA, and they worked with the Hawks, and ultimately the people were arrested. Therefore, the criminal side of things, when we find them, we refer it to the NPA, and the NPA deals with that, and we become the witnesses. And then when the cases is about disciplinary hearing, we refer to Eskom. We've already done so to Eskom, and they are doing the disciplinary hearing, and we are also there serving as witnesses in those DCs.
Let me ask you then about the pressure on the likes of the SIU and indeed the National Prosecuting Authority, who you would be working with on some of these cases. Is that beginning to weigh heavily on you, especially the growing expectation for arrests in particular to be effected?
The phone is just terrible, but I understand you to be saying, are we are the cases that we are referring being dealt with at the NPA.
No, I was asking how, very quickly, and I understand that we have a bad line to you, but I want to persevere just a few moments longer, how you as a unit are dealing with the growing expectation from yourselves and the likes of the NPA to begin to make arrests and take that sort of action. How are you dealing with that?
Yes, we as the SIU are working very closely with the NPA. We have got what we call the ACTT, Anti-Corruption Task Team, where the NPA sits, we sit there, the Hawks sit there, and we work together to try and make sure that we speed up the processes. But obviously, each and every unit has got its own mandate, but we make sure that we work together to achieve the goal of making sure that all these cases, those that need to be prosecuted, are prosecuted. That is why we allow our investigators to be witnesses in the cases, because they would be the one who have investigated this matter.
SIU spokesperson Kaizer Kganyago, thank you so much for bearing with us, despite that poor quality on that line.